Have you ever felt something really strongly, something heavy or confusing inside, but you just could not say it in English?
Yes, and that silence is one of the most frustrating feelings I know. You feel so much, but the words just are not there.
And sometimes it is not only in English, sometimes even in your own language. It is hard to say what you really feel.
But in English, it feels even more difficult. You worry you will say something wrong or sound strange or too emotional.
And so you say nothing or you say something small like, I am fine, and you hide the real feeling inside.
And that hiding can feel lonely, like nobody really knows how you feel.
Hello and welcome to English Unlocked. My name is Luna.
And my name is Luca. We are so happy you are here with us today.
This is a slow English podcast. We speak slowly and clearly so you can follow along and improve your listening.
And today we are talking about something that many English learners find really difficult.
We are talking about feelings, emotions, and how to talk about them in English.
Not just the simple words like happy or sad, but the deeper feelings, the ones that are harder to name.
We want to help you find the words you need when English gets emotional.
So take a slow breath, get comfortable, and let us begin.
I want to start by asking you something, Luca. Have you ever had a feeling that you just could not explain?
So many times there are feelings that are like a mix of different emotions all at once, and finding the right word for that mix is hard.
I remember one time I was sitting with a friend who was going through something really painful, and I wanted to say something kind and real.
But the words did not come easily.
No, I kept thinking, I feel something for this person right now. I feel it strongly, but what is the word? What do I actually say?
And that gap between feeling and language is something language learners feel all the time.
Because in your first language, you have had years to learn the emotional words. You learn them slowly through experience.
But in English, many learners study grammar and vocabulary for work or school. The emotional vocabulary comes later, if at all.
And then one day you need it. You need to comfort a friend, or explain your own stress, or tell someone you feel hurt.
And the words just are not there. And that is a very specific kind of frustration.
It is like you have the feeling fully inside you, but you cannot carry it out into the world with language.
That image really stays with me. The feeling is inside, but the door to express it is locked.
And sometimes people give up. They say, I cannot explain it in English, so I will just be quiet.
But being quiet when you need to speak is its own kind of pain.
So today we want to open that door a little. We want to give you some words and also the courage to use them.
I think part of the problem is that emotional language in English is not always taught in classes.
That is so true. In most English courses, you learn words for things you can see or do. You learn words for objects, actions, and places.
But feelings are invisible. You cannot point to anxiety and say, there it is. That is anxiety.
And feelings are personal. Two people can feel anxious about completely different things, and their anxiety can feel very different inside.
So the word alone is not enough. You need to know how to use it, when to use it, and what to say around it.
And another thing that makes emotional English hard is that emotions carry culture too.
What do you mean by that?
Well, in some cultures, talking about emotions openly is very normal. People share how they feel quite easily.
And in other cultures, talking about personal feelings in public or even with friends feels uncomfortable or strange.
So when an English speaker asks, Are you okay? You seem a little off today, it can feel surprising.
Because in some cultures, people do not ask that so directly. They might notice, but they would not say it aloud.
And then, if you are not used to that kind of question, you might feel confused about how to answer honestly.
And so again, people say, I am fine, even when they are not fine at all.
That phrase, I am fine, is doing so much heavy lifting in conversations all around the world.
It means so many different things. Sometimes fine means fine, but often it means I do not know how to explain this, or I do not want to explain this right now.
And I think understanding that is actually a big step forward for English learners.
Knowing that I am fine is not always honest, and knowing there are better ways to say the real thing.
Can I share a personal story here?
Please do. This is exactly the kind of story that helps.
A few years ago, I was working in an international team and there was a colleague I had some tension with. Nothing dramatic, but something felt uncomfortable between us.
Those situations are really hard. There is no big argument, just this uncomfortable feeling every day.
Exactly. And I wanted to say something to clear the air. I sat down to write an email to this person.
And I imagine that was not easy.
It was not easy at all. I kept writing and deleting, because in my first language I could say what I meant. But in English, everything I wrote sounded either too aggressive or too soft.
Too aggressive, like you were angry when you were not, or too soft, like you did not really mean it.
Yes, there is a tone in emotional communication that is very hard to control in a second language.
Because tone comes from years of experience with a language. You just know how something sounds in your native language.
But in English, you might not feel that yet, so you second guess every sentence.
What did you do in the end?
I did not send the email. I spoke to the person directly, face to face, which was actually scarier but felt more honest.
And did it go okay?
It went better than I expected. But I remember feeling so frustrated that I could not write what I really meant. It felt like a failure.
But it was not a failure. It was actually a very human problem. Even native speakers struggle to write emotional messages.
That is a good point. The difficulty is not only about language level, it is about vulnerability too.
And that word, vulnerability, is a beautiful and important word for this topic. Vulnerability. Let us take a moment with that word, because it is one that learners sometimes avoid.
Maybe because it sounds very serious or complex, but the feeling itself is not complex. We all know it.
Vulnerability is that feeling when you do something that requires courage because you might get hurt or judged.
Like telling someone you care about them, or admitting you made a mistake, or asking for help.
Exactly. Anytime you open up and share something real about yourself, you are being vulnerable.
And in English conversations, especially in personal or emotional situations, vulnerability is actually valued.
It might feel uncomfortable, but in many English-speaking contexts, showing some vulnerability makes you seem more honest and more trustworthy.
So phrases like, I need to tell you something and it is a little difficult for me, or I am not sure how to say this, but I will try, are actually very powerful.
They signal to the other person that you are being honest and brave, and that invites the other person to be honest and kind in return.
I love that. You are creating a space for real conversation before the conversation even starts.
And for language learners, I think giving yourself permission to say, my English is not perfect, but I want to say something real, is a form of vulnerability that people respect deeply.
Because it takes courage. And people feel that courage even when the grammar is not perfect.
The grammar matters much less than the intention and the honesty behind the words.
Let us talk about some specific feelings that come up in life and how to talk about them in English.
Good idea. Let us start with one that almost everyone feels but not everyone talks about: overwhelm.
Yes, feeling overwhelmed. This is when there is too much happening at once and your mind and body feel like they cannot handle all of it.
And it is a very common feeling in modern life. Too many responsibilities, too many decisions, too much information.
Some phrases to express this: I am feeling really overwhelmed right now, or everything feels like too much at the moment.
Or a softer version: I think I need to take a step back. Things are piling up.
That image, things piling up, is very natural in English. It means things are accumulating and becoming a heavy weight.
Another word that is important here is drained. When you feel emotionally or physically empty,
I am completely drained, or I feel emotionally drained from that conversation.
and then there is burnt out, which is a longer-term feeling of exhaustion, especially from work or responsibility.
I am starting to feel burnt out. That is a very honest and brave thing to say to someone, especially a manager or a friend.
And these words are important because they are more specific than tired. When you say tired, people often think you just need sleep.
But overwhelmed, drained, and burnt out. Tell people something deeper is happening. You are asking for more than just a good night's sleep.
You are asking to be seen and heard, not just given practical advice.
Can we talk about one of the most uncomfortable emotional situations? When you feel hurt by someone, but you are afraid to say so.
This is so common. And in English, navigating this is genuinely difficult.
Because if you say nothing, the hurt stays inside and often grows.
But if you say something, you worry about the other person's reaction. Will they get defensive? Will they think you are being too sensitive?
That fear of being seen as too sensitive is very powerful. In many contexts, people do not want to seem emotional or weak.
And for English learners especially, you might worry that your way of expressing hurt will not land correctly because of the language difference.
So, what can you actually say? How do you express hurt without it becoming a conflict?
One of the most useful sentence structures in English for this is, when you said that, I felt.
That structure is powerful because it focuses on your feeling, not on blaming the other person.
For example, when you canceled our plans, I felt disappointed. I had been really looking forward to it.
And notice that it is not you disappointed me or you made me feel bad, it is I felt disappointed. The feeling belongs to you.
And then, if you want to open a conversation, you can add, I wanted to tell you because I did not want to let it affect our friendship.
That ending is beautiful. You are showing the other person that the reason you are speaking is care, not attack.
And in most cases, saying something with that kind of intention does reduce tension, not create more.
The conversation becomes about understanding each other, not about winning or being right.
I want to talk about something that I think is often overlooked, the small phrases in English that carry big emotional weight.
What do you mean by small phrases?
Things like, I hear you, or that sounds really hard, or I am here.
Those phrases seem so simple, but they do so much in a conversation.
Because when someone is upset or stressed, they often do not need a solution. They need to feel heard.
And in English, I hear you does not just mean I literally heard the words you said. It means I understand you. I see what you are going through.
And that sounds really hard is a phrase that validates the other person's experience without minimizing it.
You are not saying it will be okay. You are not saying at least, because at least usually makes people feel like their problem is being dismissed.
Exactly. At least you have your health. At least it was not worse. These kinds of responses, even with good intentions, can feel dismissive.
Instead, that sounds really hard, says, I believe you. I feel the weight of what you are carrying.
And sometimes, I am here or I am here for you is the most powerful thing you can say.
Not, I will fix it. Not, here is what you should do. Just, I am here.
For language learners, memorizing a few of these short emotional phrases can make a huge difference.
Because you do not need a long, complex sentence. You need a human and genuine response.
And these short phrases are easy to remember and use, even when you are nervous or emotional yourself.
I want to ask you something, Luca. Has there ever been a moment when an emotional conversation in English completely caught you off guard?
Absolutely. I remember one time on a work trip, a colleague suddenly started talking about something very personal, a family problem they were going through.
And you were not expecting that at all?
No, we had only worked together a short time, and suddenly we were having this very deep conversation, and I felt genuinely moved by what they shared.
What did you feel in that moment?
I felt honored that they trusted me, and I also felt nervous because I wanted to respond well. I did not want to say something that felt cold or wrong.
And what did you say?
I said something like, "Thank you for sharing that with me. That sounds like a really difficult time for your family." And I asked if they wanted to talk more or if they preferred to leave it there.
That is such a good response. You acknowledged what they said, you validated their experience, and you gave them the choice.
Because sometimes people share something just to release it. They do not always want to go deeper.
And asking, do you want to talk more about it, or is it enough to just say it out loud, is such a respectful question.
It removes pressure from both people in the conversation.
And did your colleague seem to feel okay after that?
They did. They said something like, "Thanks for listening. I just needed to say it." And then we went back to talking about normal things.
That is such a human moment. And you handled it well, even in a second language, even without preparation.
But I will be honest, I went over that conversation in my head for a while afterward, wondering if I had said the right things.
That self reflection after emotional conversations is so real. We all do it.
And I think for language learners, it can be more intense because you are not only replaying the emotional content, you are also replaying your own language choices.
Did I say that correctly? Was my tone right? Did they understand me?
And the answer is usually, yes, they understood you, because emotional intent comes through even imperfect language.
Let us talk practically for a moment. What do you do when you are in an emotional conversation and you simply cannot find the right English word?
This is so important because it happens to everyone, including people who have been learning English for many years,
And the worst thing you can do is pretend you understood or agree with something when you did not, just to avoid the uncomfortable pause.
because that leads to more confusion later.
So, one of the most honest and useful things you can say is, I want to respond to this properly. Can you give me a moment?
That is beautiful, because it shows the other person that you are taking them seriously.
Or you can say, I am finding it a little hard to find the right words, but what I want to say is,
And then you try your best with the words you have. Even if it is not perfect, the effort says everything.
another option is to use simple but true words. You do not always need the exact right word, you need the true word.
For example, instead of trying to say something complicated like, "I feel conflicted about this situation," you could say, "I feel two things at once. I am glad, but I am also worried."
That is actually more powerful in some ways. It is clear, direct, and honest.
And using simple structures like, "I feel," because, or "when this happened," "I noticed that I felt," can carry enormous weight, even with basic vocabulary.
The structure holds the emotion even when the vocabulary is limited.
And one last thing on this, silence is allowed. A short pause in an emotional conversation is not always awkward.
Sometimes it is the most respectful response. You are sitting with what the other person said, not rushing to fill the space.
And in English, saying, "Give me a second," or "I need a moment," is perfectly natural and human.
Before we move to the end of the episode, I want to ask you something, and I want to ask our listeners too.
Please do.
Is there a feeling you have had recently, something in your life right now, that you have not been able to say in English yet?
That is a beautiful question.
Maybe it is something small, like feeling a little lonely in a new place, or something bigger, like feeling pressure from people who love you.
Or maybe it is something joyful, like feeling proud of yourself in a way you have not let yourself say out loud.
Whatever that feeling is, we would love to know. Leave a comment and try to say it in English, even just a few words.
Because putting a feeling into language, even imperfectly, is already a kind of healing.
And reading other people's words might help someone else name their own feeling too.
We are all learning together here, and this community of learners is one of the things I am genuinely grateful for.
All right, we are coming to the end of today's episode.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. This is one of those topics that we could talk about for hours.
We hope today gave you something useful. Not just vocabulary, but maybe also a little more courage to say the real thing.
Because your feelings deserve to be expressed in any language, but especially in the one you are working so hard to learn.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who is also learning English. Maybe someone who is going through something right now and could use the right words.
And if you want to keep learning with us, follow English Unlocked wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Thank you for being here. We really mean that.
Take care.